In this episode of Let's Talk, Chris Moser reminds us how important it is to educate students, especially in media, about how the past has shaped our democracy and how if certain sides of the political agenda have their way, then demigods of tyranny will occur.
Going back to my teaching, when I was in communication, when we got to discussion of ethics in speech, I would go back into history and I would talk to my students about how in the 1930s in Germany and Italy, while we were fortunate enough to have Franklin Roosevelt during the Depression to appeal to our better angels and start leading us constructively out of the Depression, when Germany, which was probably in so many ways the most advanced civilization in the world, perhaps, in all kinds of respects, in industry and science and literature and philosophy and music and on and on and on. But when economic hard times came, in their cases, result of being punished for World War I, even they succumbed to a demagogue who was scapegoating minorities instead of speaking truth about what was happening. And in Germany and in Italy, the politicians in charge, the parliaments allowed this to proceed and allowed Hitler and Mussolini to come to control, thinking it's okay, we can control them, which is exactly what we see being played out in the United States today. And I don't know if democracy in this country will survive. And obviously there are shades of the same phenomenon happening all over Europe.
And I think that's the key thing, is that I spoke to some people from Finland last year in July, and they were talking about how the far right were doing things to push the same kind of agendas that you're seeing happening in America and in the UK with what's happened with Brexit. And I was also, I've also been seeing stuff from people that I know from Belgium, which are pushing similar sort of agendas, which I'm finding sort of hard to comprehend or cope with. Again, because we've lived through troubles here in Northern Ireland. We've seen how nobody could win whatever was being pushed, and so they had to compromise. And as soon as they compromised and started talking, we started to see some kind of peace, and we've seen some sort of peace in the last 20 years. But now that they can't seem to compromise and they can't seem to talk, we're now having those extremes sort of happen again, and we could see the same thing collapsing here. My brother has talked about the fact that the Conservative government could collapse. They're on a very thin line in what they're trying to do. So we're seeing that right across, again, I think in Europe at the moment, the politics isn't working, so the processes aren't working, but people are being very much influenced by the media that they're actually seeing to drive them in a certain direction, which in itself could actually be quite destructive, which is quite sad. I mean, how do you, again, from what you're seeing from a journalistic perspective, we're seeing here jobs gradually being automated, people not having things to be able to do, and even the lower level jobs are being gradually taken away. Is that something that you're seeing happen in America at this point?
Oh, of course. And so many Americans are being indoctrinated to think that they're losing jobs from their work overseas, and that's, or to other countries. And so many of the so much of the automotive industry has left Detroit and American General and going to Mexico and so forth. And there's truth to that, but the other side is at least half of the jobs being lost um, are lost to automation, and so uh, we're a lot of the emphasis is on making jobs for good old red-blooded American robots, but those still aren't employing people. Um, we now obviously we've been through this time and again with the Industrial Revolution. Many jobs were eliminated, but many more jobs were created. It's not as clear in the digital age how, as artificial intelligence continues to make great strides. I heard a news report this morning um, about a debate on some public policy issues that was between human beings and computers, and the computers did just as well in the debate as the human beings did. Um, it's really not clear at this time how the digital revolution is, or if it is, going to create jobs to make up for the jobs it's eliminating, as past technological revolutions have done. But obviously, all that goes more and more into ordinary working people's frustrations, and it makes it all the more important for media and for academia. And for the moral and spiritual leaders of our society to impress upon people to engage in critical thinking and understand really what is happening with the economy and why, and what factors in public policy are causing economic inequality to grow worse and worse and worse. The worst in this country it's been since the Gilded Age, and all the progress made since the Depression in this country has been reversed, and people are encouraged to not think about what is really behind that, but instead to blame scapegoats and to say, and the rich people who are the plutocrats in charge of our politicians and the media are really good at saying, hey, don't blame us, while they're raking in most of the money that the economy is producing, and saying, don't blame us, blame those gays and those black people and those immigrants and those urban sophisticates who are trying to take your guns away. They're your problem, not us. And it's very clever how they're able to shift the focus and shift the blame and distract people from really understanding what's happening.
We have more on the way, so please subscribe to this channel and check out the link below if you'd consider becoming a patron to help us keep making more content. Thanks for watching.